everybody. Welcome to the Anna Nicole Show. I'm Nicole.
I'm Anna.
Hi.
On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up.
Subscribe.
On track, now we gon'
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the greatest show on earth.
I hope everybody's doing well. This is episode number 2.
Numero 2.
So we have some pre-recorded videos that another video was supposed to come out this week, but we were talking about trending topics, and I don't know. I guess we didn't really think it through on how it doesn't make sense to talk about trending topics and then put them out 3 weeks later. It's silly to do that. So we decided to go a different route this week, and I'm going to tell a little bit of some of my stories, some of my crazy tales. So I do want to preference if you are triggered by anything addiction related, or if you are a family member or a friend that doesn't want to hear anything about my past life of drug use or partying, then this might not be the video for you to watch. Don't worry, there'll be plenty of videos to watch. This one, you might think I am absolutely crazy if you don't already think that.
For sure.
For sure. So how was
For
your week,
sure.
Anna? Anything exciting?
Nah, man. It's been the week from fucking hell. Everything that could possibly go wrong has gone wrong. Knocked over a glass of ice water before I left to work in the morning. Then I broke the broom when I was sweeping up the ice chunks on the floor at 8 o'clock in the morning because I was rushing at this point to get to work. And I'm like, oh, let me just grab all my crap, jump in the car, leave, do all that, get in the car. I'm like, where the fuck are my keys? So I go and I'm like, oh, they're probably just inside. Nope, I already locked the door. So I look in my window in the living room. There's the cat sitting on his little kitty cat tower going, meow. And I'm like, yo, my keys are right there on the table. I'm like, grab them. Meow, meow. Puts his paw up on the window like, yo, I'm in here. That's been my week.
I was looking at you like that because you're like, I had the worst week ever. I spilled a glass of ice water.
At 8 o'clock in the morning on the rug and on the fucking kitchen floor.
That's a good week for me. If that's all that happens by 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, oh, good. Yes. So, well, I'm sorry. I'm glad obviously you're in your apartment, so you got the keys. I'm sure Daddy helped you. Did he?
No one was home. I had to break into their house.
Oh, and then
grab my house key. Yeah.
Could have been way worse.
I already fucking had to break the living room screen and climb in a couple of months ago from the same issue.
They gave you a spare key, but then you put the spare key on your regular keys. So if you lock those keys in, you lock that key too.
Correctamundo. And then I'm like, oh, I just have a regular spare key to my car. Nope. It's inside the apartment.
Oh.
Whatever.
Well,
whatever.
It's almost
Friday.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. For anybody that maybe doesn't know who I am or who we are, we're both best friends since high school, and we are now new into our 40s, and we have lived a life of chaos and a lot of partying and fun and
wild worst case scenario shit that's gonna happen. Yo, we are here to live and tell you all about it.
Well, here, and the good thing is that Anna's here, because if I was doing this podcast myself, I know people would be like, I don't believe you, because my whole life people would hear some of the stories that I told, and people would think I'm a liar, and because they're so in the if I like attract craziness, and the most craziest things in the world happen to me, and only people that really know
Every
me
time.
know it's
Every
true,
time.
because when they're with me, they're just in awe. They're like, how does this happen? At least I mean, she wasn't here for this story, or really even this part of my life. So if you don't know me, I was addicted to drugs. I got prescribed Vicodin at 22 years old, pretty much for no reason, initially for my period. And then I kept getting like increased up to Oxycontin. And one thing led to another, and I turned to heroin because the oxys were like $50 a piece. And desperate times, I figured, what the heck? It was like very socially accepted at that time. And
yeah, because doctors were giving fucking pills out like fucking birth control.
More.
I'm sorry.
It was easier. It was easier.
It was easy. You could go to the doctor and say, my sinuses hurt, and they'd be like, here's a 90-day fucking script of Vicodin. Let me know what happens.
Yeah.
No Z-Pack, no penicillin. Nope. 90 days of Vicodins. It would be like 500 milligrams or like 750s. And they'd be in like different colors. I remember like the green ones. Everyone wanted to get the green ones for the
Green
time.
Goblins.
Yes, that's
the
what
Incredible Hulks.
Yes.
Yeah, it's actually crazy. So if you're like younger, and maybe if you're like younger than us and you're listening to this, you're like, how did you guys like not know? Because back then, like, don't do drugs. Like that meant like, don't do heroin, don't do crack. It wasn't really pills. Like pills was considered like ecstasy. Like this wasn't a thing. This opioid epidemic, like it was just starting. And
it was okay because the doctors were giving us the meds.
Right.
And we knew they were fucking you up. But I
didn't know that it was gonna. I thought like, yeah, they made me feel good. They made me work better. But like, I thought I could just like drop them instantly. And the first time I went into withdrawal, I was actually visiting a friend in college, and I didn't bring pills because I wasn't working. And I was like, who cares? I'm going to like party. And I got really sick, but I didn't know it was because of the pills until I called one of my friends, and she was like, yeah, it's from the pills you take every day. And I'm like, what? And she was like, yeah, they're basically synthetic heroin. And my heart dropped, but I didn't quit. And like, also, if you don't want to know more about the topic, the documentary called Dope Sick on Hulu, it does a really good job explaining about how his name Sackler made the pills, and all the pharmaceutical reps would go around to all the doctors saying that there was this new drug called Oxycontin, and all you had to do was, and they had a protective film around the pill, which all you had to do was literally lick off and like rub, and it would come right off. But even if you didn't take it off, that wasn't going to make the pill not addictive. And it was telling people it was the doctors, it was new medicine, and you could treat it for moderate to like high pain, and people won't get addicted to it. And not only that, they were getting huge kickbacks, like vacations, like the more they sold. And, the pharmaceutical reps were giving them like, tickets to basketball games, like all this stuff for the more stuff
making a killing.
Billions.
All they were doing.
There was a whole case on it, and he caused single-handedly the opioid epidemic. And to be honest, that's kind of why I feel so strongly about this like trans issue a little bit, because it's every decade the pharmaceutical company comes up with something different to exploit to people, so people have to get hooked on the medicine for the rest of their lives and become a lifetime patient. Yeah, like I said, it started Vicodins, and then at like 22, and I'm 40, I got clean at 34. So it took me down a wild path. and Anna wasn't into it, so she was living her own life, having a kid, and I was becoming a drug dealer and a drug user and somebody very different than who I am. So, but to make light of it, and also like I do want to spread awareness. Like I'm not trying to glamorize anything. This is just kind of like my story, my journey, and you know, hopefully if anybody's listening and you are in the same situation, just know that like it's never too late. You can always get help and you can change your life. You have the power to do that. But some of my stories are just too crazy not to share. So I'm going to share for your entertainment.
Please do so.
So I'm not going to name people's names. And unfortunately, this guy has passed away since. Actually, not much longer after this situation happened. So I'm going to call him Fred. Fred, right? Yeah. And he lived across the hall from me. I lived in an apartment complex with my boyfriend, Pork Chop, and Pork Chop's crazy mom, who, you know, whatever. And across the hall was this kid who I went to school with, who Anna was actually really good friends with throughout high school. I wasn't, but I became friends with him later on in his life. And he was a user too. At that time, I was selling. So I don't know. I think I was too fucked up and I couldn't drive or something, or my car wasn't on the road. I can't remember what it was, or we just got a car. I don't know.
Did you still have the Corolla?
No, we just got Pork Chop just got like a car from my brother. So
Okay.
I think he got it like that day. It just wasn't on the road. So I asked this kid, I tell him I'll give him stuff if he could drive me, you know, probably like a half hour away. And he's like, yeah. So we get into the car, and as soon as we get into the car, he's like nodding out. And I'm like, bro, like you can't drive. Like,
no,
let me drive. Like, you can't drive. He's like, give me 5 minutes. I could drive. And like, sounds so stupid now, but like me being like in the user, I know that you can just like snap out of it. So I was like, all right, he'll be fine. So all of a sudden he snaps out of it and he's like, all right, I'm good. I'm like, okay. Well, we pull out of the apartment complex, we make a right, and right in front of actually Anna's house, all of a sudden, Fred gets into a car accident, smashes into somebody, and I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at that, smashes into somebody, literally made a right, smashed right into somebody. So it's a pretty busy road, this road.
How did you do that?
Because he felt like he nodded out and he just crashed. It was probably a light all the way up, so it was probably backed up. So now the ambulance, the most important part, we get into an accident, and all of a sudden, and I'm not exaggerating, thousands of roaches start crawling from every crevice of the car. I tried getting out and I forgot the car doesn't work. So I literally like push him, hop over him, run out.
So like they were in the car?
Thousands.
Everywhere. Making me itchy. That's so gross.
It gets worse. So the ambulance winded up getting called and whatever. They didn't take the car. We lived right, we both lived right there. Brought the car back. I knew, knowing it's infested with roaches, now go take the car and drive it to Nassau County and back. Not only that, knowing, but in my mind, I was like, all right, they either all ran out of the car or they're all back in the vents.
So you went back into the car a second time.
I drove the car. And not only
with the roaches
by myself. And then I took the car the next day because I had to go to court with the roaches.
Again?
2 times.
Did you bring any home with you?
No, I don't, not that I know of. I don't think so. I was so scared, but I also was like, all right, I know they're there. There's thousands of them. I've been like in a lot of trap houses, a lot of like, I lived in the hood for a while. Well, the zoo wasn't even bad. Even the zoo was like a palace compared to some trap houses I've been to. Like seriously, like in some hoods, and at least like where I've been, the house you'd walk in, it would be like all plywood. There would be like maybe like a chair and like a table, like a full table that used to eat like microwave dinners on, like one of those tables. Someone like bagging up. A lot of times that I've went into these houses, there would always be like some random kid in like a diaper with like no parent around. Like I almost actually took one. I didn't almost take the kid, but I felt like I wanted to help
You
him.
almost kidnapped a kid from a trap house?
No, I didn't almost kidnap the kid, but like I wanted to help him, but I didn't because I'm like, all right, well.
So you rather take the kid and leave the drugs because that would be better? Or was it more take the drugs and the kid? Or
Take the drugs and the kid.
okay.
But I didn't do that because I'm a drug addict and like I would have gotten a kidnapping charge. But I felt really bad and like, whatever. When you're on that shit though, you kind of like lose your soul a little bit. Like I thought up until like a couple years ago, I thought I was a narcissist because I had no feelings. I was like so cold, but I was the drugs, clearly. I mean, I'm a pretty sensitive person, and I, care about people. I'm going to be talking about these trap houses that they're dirty. They're not kept, they're not cleaned. There's not even flooring. Like there's not tile. Like it's not like it's a dirty rug. It's plywood. Like that's been pissed on. So these houses are infested. And I didn't hang out like at these houses, but like, a couple of my boys did. And sometimes you'd have to go in to pick up, or sometimes you have to go in, if you're selling to drop stuff off, whatever. They were mostly trap spots, people that would rent them like a room out to do work, and then they would go back to their houses. But these places had bugs, roaches. So the kid, Fred, his mom, I think she's clean now, but she used to be a drug addict. So she was in and out of the hood, and she wound up having other people's clothes in her trunk. And that's how the roaches got in there. And
had families upon families.
Right. And it's like just crazy because like, I was selling drugs. So that's why I needed the car to like make runs. And I was like also doing this behind Pork Chop's back. I mean, he knew, but like he also didn't know. So
yeah, because when I moved back from Atlanta, we used to watch Shameless together. I don't know why. He's such an awesome person to like binge watch TV shows with. Like we used to watch Sex in the City with him all the time.
Because he's so like, he's not girly, he's extremely manly, but he's also very like, hi, like
he's just so much fun. I loved we would go to Taco Bell, and because the Taco Bell drive-thru is like a fucking experience within itself on 112.
You gotta bring like a movie just to go to a Taco Bell drive-thru, and Long Island at least.
Yeah. And we'd watch Shameless, and he would tell me, he's like, I never knew that Nicole, when we were together, that she had gotten like really into this shit. Like I knew she was doing a little bit of it, but
he knew, but he didn't know.
Yeah,
he knew because like let's be real here. He knew and he didn't care. He just didn't like really want to like be involved. But like he gave me the startup money to start selling. Like he knew. And like, listen, he wasn't his own angel. He wasn't a user, and he wasn't selling dope either. he's a really good kid, and I wish that I didn't
Really
lie to
is.
him. And the drugs really, he was so understanding, and I feel really bad. This whole like situation happened, and it was like 3 days that led up to my big like bust. So remember that it's it's Fred's mom's car, and they live across the hall in the apartment complex I'm living in. So the apartment we lived in was my ex-boyfriend's mom's house. And she said that day, or 2 days before, you guys can't shower here because I have a toe fungus. And this is a whole nother story too about my ex's mom. Love her to death, but wild card. Anyway, if you knew her, and if you know me, you know
She
what I'm
asked me
talking
if I
about.
was a Russian spy several times. Several
So,
times. I'm like, okay.
so
Surely.
okay, so she's just like, she has her own issues with addiction, not like heroin or anything, but whatever. I'm not going to get into that. So me and my ex were getting a hotel room so I could shower. Now, also, mind you, I was a big drug dealer. Like, I was going into Queens every day and picking up about 1,000 bags of heroin and selling them. And I would go every single day and get that much, sell them, and probably do about 100 myself, not including the Xanax that I would take too. Yes, I had extremely high tolerance, as I do like with everything. And all I did all day was shoot dope. Like, I would do like 10 bag shots. It was like insane. I was so high all the time.
Pork chop?
Me and Pork Chop got a hotel room, and I was like in and out, meeting people, whatever. And I'm like clueless, thinking like, yeah, I'm on top of the world. I got all this money, and drugs, and I'm cool, blah, blah, blah. I still didn't shower though, because I was like, fuck it, I'm going to bed. I was too high to shower. So now we're going on like day 3 of showering. So now me and this other kid, I'm going to call him Jerry. He had like this really like souped up bright red car. And he was like this like preppy boy that like everybody probably thought he was so innocent, but he was a dope head, like a big dope head. And he was one of my customers, but he was also my friend. And he would drive me into Queens. So on this particular night, which is like 2 nights after the Roach thing, we drive into Queens, and actually, no, we had to go into the Bronx, and
Oh,
which was
even better.
yeah, which was further. And we go into the Bronx, and we go into this like super nice area. And I'm like to the guy that I meet, like, why are you like moving? And he's like, oh, shit's a little hot right now. So now I'm nervous. We pull out of there, and I know I'm not just paranoid. I'm like, we're getting fucking followed. Not only that, I'm fucking sick, like puking. And I'm like, we got to pull over. I don't even care. I got to do something. If we're getting arrested, I literally have 100,000 bags of bagged up heroin on me. Like, he's like, I got you. We're speeding in and the fuck out, lose the car, right? We go down. Doesn't matter what the road is. It's a road in a small town, like not a road where you would think to be followed. Yeah, because I think the apartments were down there. So we're going to those apartments. Now we pull into the apartments, and right after, the same car that was following us pulls in right behind us.
From Queens.
From the Bronx, yes. And I'm like, what do we do? The guy pulls up next to us, looks at us, pulls out, and pulls 4 parking spots down. And I'm like, is this guy making it obvious? So now the person whose house we're at is like, I'll hold all your shit. I'm like, oh, hell no. No. I was like, I'll take my chances. You're not, here you go, whatever. We figured out a way to like kind of like not do it out in the open. I had like 7 more people to meet, right? So how we lost the guy is thankfully he had a fast car and the train came, and the guy obviously couldn't go through. So
Nice.
now I'm bugging out. Like I can't go back home because I don't know what the fuck just happened. But do these people even know who I am? I'm just some like girl from a small town. Like,
With 1,000 bags of heroin on her.
right. I just thought that was normal though. But you know, they don't know my name, right? No, probably not. So
No,
we go
they
and
just followed you
stay.
back from the Bronx.
Yeah. So they go and stay at we go and stay at a hotel again. You know, same thing, the fungus. So and I still have not showered, by the way.
We're on
Then,
day 4 now, no shower.
yep, day 4, no shower, not giving a fuck. And I woke up the next day, my guy was not answering. Couldn't get a hold of him, no way to get anything. So I'm like, shit, what do I do? People are blowing my phone up. It was like a whole nightmare day. Couldn't get, I think I could get shit, but it was from somebody else, I think locally. It didn't really matter. We wind up staying at Pork Chop's mom's house apartment, which is where I lived ultimately. Like all my stuff was there. That's where we lived. And I didn't shower because of the toe fungus. So the next
But
day,
you rented a hotel room for 4 days.
yeah. Well, I mean, I wasn't really there much. I was, out running around, acting like a fool. So then the next day, I wake up and I'm not feeling good. I go now. Pork Chop didn't like me doing shit at his house. He didn't even really like me having shit at his house. If I'm gonna do it, the rule was you got to do it outside of the house. And now I regret like all of that, but like I was just didn't care about his rules. I was selfish. So I was trying to like go get high in the bathroom quick. Obviously his mom didn't want that shit at the house either. And like, even though she was like her own crazy, she didn't want to like draw attention and shit. So I get it. But I was trying to do shit. He got mad and wouldn't let me. All of a sudden, we get a knock on the door. And his mother answers it. And I'm like, I am not here. She answers the door. And it's these cops, like plainclothes cops. And they're like, is Nicole here? And I'm like shitting my pants. Like, oh my God, they know my name. I was like, should I run out the window? What do I do? Hoping Pork Chop's mom's not going to rat me out. But all of a sudden she goes, yeah, she's here. And she goes, oh, it's not anything. And they go, hi, do you know Fred's mom across the hall? I'm like, yes. And oh, well, her car got in a hit and run last night. And we have you on camera driving the car. And I had my brother's, like after the whole Roach thing, I think Pork Chop bought my brother's like Jetta or something. So we had a car. And I'm like, no, that wasn't me. I was like, I drove her car like 3 days ago. Her son got into an accident, which is how they found out my name, by the way. Fred got into an accident right there. And I go, yeah, I drove the car that night. I go, I definitely didn't get in a hit and run. And I go, and I haven't drove a car since. Now, Fred's mom, they knocked on her door first. And it was like, your car was in a hit and run. Do you know who Nicole is? And do you know who Fred's mom is? Don't say her name. So she was like, oh, hell no. She was saying all this shit, like acting all like, I'm a fuck that bitch, blah, 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 blah. She lives across the hall. So now I have, and I'm like, no. And they're like, all right, well, we're going to take you in and you can watch the video. If it's not you, we'll let you go. And I go, well, just show me the video. No. They go, you got drugs on you? I'm like, I'm not a drug addict. They're like, you're not? I'm like, no. They're like, oh, you just sell it? And I go, excuse me? So I'm like, am I arrested or what? Like, what's going on here? They're like, no.
Right.
We have a lead that says you were in the hit and run. Okay. So now I get to the precinct in Patchogue, and I'm in there with a bunch of Spanish people. Look around. Nobody looks familiar to me, to be honest with you, except for this one kid. This one kid who I used to sell to, like he would buy like sleeves, which is 100 bags at a time. And he wanted my Connect's number, but I didn't want to give it to him. I was charging him like $20 more. And he wound up stealing the Connect's number out of my phone. And I seen him there. And in my head, I was like, he looked at me and I looked at him. I go, are we here because of like Carlito? And he's like, I have no idea why we're here. So then all of a sudden they go, we got to take your picture. I go, hold up. You told me I was in here for a hit and run.
Why are you getting these pictures
He goes,
taken?
it's not connecting to you yet. Do you not know who these people are? I go, no. And he goes, do you know C and Carlito? And I go, I mean, I know a lot of people like named that. Yeah. I don't know who you're talking about. And he goes, from Queens, that you buy bagels and loaves of bread from. And I'm like, now I would call a sleeve a loaf of bread and a bundle a bagel. So I go, what's going on? Then they explained it to me. Well, we busted Carlito and C with millions of dollars of heroin. And we have you on recording for the last 7 months dealing with him. And we've been watching you and have tons of evidence. Oh.
Well.
Okay. I go, well, I'll tell you everything if you could let me do some dope and smoke a cigarette. They didn't let me, and I didn't tell them anything, but like I was fucking, now I'm like fucking really sick. And I go, I gotta make a call, right? I gotta call my mom. I go, before I call my mom, is this gonna be like on the news and the newspaper? He goes, oh yeah, definitely. 100%. Front page.
Oh shit. Of Newsday.
Of Newsday. Okay. Who do I call? Who do I call?
Ghostbusters!
I wish. Yeah.
Who do we call?
I called my mom. I believe I called Pork Chop too. I can't really remember. But then, the story gets even crazier. So then
Really?
not only was I doing these 100 bags of heroin a day, I was also popping like anywhere from 2 to 10 Xanny bars a day. I was all sorts of fucked up.
Dude, how are you functioning?
I do not know how I'm alive. I do not know how I'm alive. I have watched many, many people overdose on the same exact drug, like from the same bag. Like, I don't know how I'm alive, but I am, and I'm grateful for it. And that's why, I mean, that's not why I'm sharing this story, but like I'm sharing the story, one, because it's kind of like interesting and funny, but also like there's light at the end of the tunnel here, So anyway, I wind up getting arrested. Clearly, I'm in this whole thing, don't know what to do. And now I'm in the precinct first for a while. And this kid who I was friends with in high school is one of the police officers. Now, I was getting fucking sick. And I was telling them if they didn't let me smoke a cigarette, I had a string around my sweatpants. I put it around my neck as a joke and told them I was going to kill myself. I was fucking acting crazy. I was like, let me smoke a cigarette.
Are you serious?
I was getting sick. I was so dope sick. I didn't know what to do. I was like, I'm going to fucking die. Let me out of there. Let me get me some boxes, something. I'm like freaking out. Then they bring me.
Bring you
Out of all the people in the world.
Why?
Because he was a cop there. And he said he knew me. And he wanted to talk to me. And I'm like, get away from me. I was like, I don't really give a fuck. Yeah, I'm a fucking drug addict. I don't care. Get me the fuck out of here.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So,
Like captain of the fucking jock squad.
yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
And like we were friends in high school. It wasn't like
Yeah.
a kid that I didn't like. He's a great kid. I'm so happy for him that he's a police officer. I hope he's doing really well. Like one of the last people in the world I would have wanted to see, you know. So that happened. Now I get shipped to Riverhead, and this is where shit gets a little crazy. So I'm not only withdrawing from heroin, I'm withdrawing from the Xanax. And that withdrawal is a whole different ball game. It's very mental.
Really?
Yeah, it's very different. At least you could sleep, but like I switched, you know. I was in, I remember waiting. My dad winded up bailing me out, thank God for him.
Thanks, bud.
We got a good lawyer, you know, all that. And I was like literally waiting to go out, and I was had to pull my pants down and shit in a garbage can while I was waiting in the fucking Riverhead jail. It was so gross, but I didn't even know I was doing that though at that point. I was like psychologically like really messed up. So now we get it out, and Pork Chop is there with my parents. And the first thing I said to anybody, not thank you, not hi, was, where is my Suboxone? They gave me Suboxone, and Pork Chop was pissed because I didn't say hi, and they just like did all that shit. And the only thing I was like was where I was fucking like so sick and also not in the right state of mind. So now my mom goes, that's it. You're coming upstate with me. Okay. Go upstate with her, and now I'm like zoned out. Like I'm okay. I'm not withdrawing from the heroin anymore, but I'm still not there because I'm not taking Xanax. And I didn't realize, oh, sorry about that. I didn't realize that at the time it could get that bad. But all of a sudden, something kicked in where I was extremely paranoid. Like everywhere we went, I'm like, Mom, those guys, they're after me. Like freaking out, like screaming. My mom's looking at me.
Yeah. I hear Xanax withdrawals are you could even have seizures.
Oh yeah, you could die for sure. My mom's going, Nicole, I'm your mom. You could trust me. But then in my head, she was also saying, all right, I'm just kidding. Though you're right. These people are following you, and we got to go. And I'm like really freaking out. Not only that, I'm like sat in her, she lived in like this hotel, and I sat and I just lit up a cigarette right in the hotel room. And I go, oh, Mom, I spoke to the manager. He said I could smoke in here. And then I was like, oh, I just got off a meeting with Kim Kardashian. She wants to buy some of your jewelry. So now my mom's like, what the fuck? Like, she's not here. Then we're driving. I had to go to my first court date. So we're driving back to Long Island, and we're in a snowstorm. And it just so happens that we're stopped at the exit at the Bronx that I met the guy. And I'm losing it in the car. And I go, Mom, Billy's in a bus behind us. They're coming to get me to take me to jail, blah, blah, blah. Then I come up with this whole story that when I was in Riverhead, I met with the, who's the person that runs the jail?
The warden.
Met with the warden. And he said, there'll be a boat waiting for me at my dad's house that I could hop on and go and do this like boot camp thing in Louisiana instead of going to jail, that I didn't even need to go to that court date.
You said this to your mom in the car.
Everybody did. To my dad, my mom.
Your parents probably wanted to fucking beat you senseless.
Dude, I was like, I swear to God, I spoke to him. I'm like, everything's gonna be okay. And I'm like, we don't have to go to, like, I was like, this guy's following me. Like, I was freaking whatever. They winded up taking me to the hospital.
Clearly.
I thought I was like in a fish tank. I thought I was in a fish tank. I thought there was a party going on outside of me. I thought you were there. I thought like everything. I wake up to this big guy who's going to inject me with something. And I'm like, get the fuck off me. As soon as I said that, I was like, and he was like, psh. And I woke up like 10 hours later.
Night, Nicole.
I woke up 10 hours later and I was like, holy shit. And also, I went into that hospital with pork chop and I left that hospital with, what do we call them? Trailer Park Boy. Trailer Park Boy.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then I wound up living in a trailer and I did not get clean. Well, getting clean was not even an option at that point. Like I said, I was doing 10 bags, 10 bags, 100 bags like a day. And it just wasn't an option. I wasn't ready. I didn't want to. I didn't care. Now, if anything, I want to do it more. So I just got freaking arrested.
Yeah.
And
you just got home. You're like, fuck this.
I did stop taking Xanax though, like that, because oh wait, no, I didn't. They gave me a prescription at the hospital. I kept doing it. I kept doing everything. Didn't matter. I kept doing everything. But yeah, there's so much more, obviously, that goes on into that story. But I thought it was a pretty like intense, crazy little story to share with the world. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, who could say they got in a car accident with roaches coming out of a car? I didn't know roaches ever were in cars. Ever.
No, I remember you telling me that story. Like, I remember you got arrested. I had just moved to Atlanta. And yo, everyone was blowing up my phone. Have you spoken to Nicole? I'm like, no, I don't even live in fucking New York, bro. I live in the South. I had moved to Atlanta in June, and that was like around the fall. Like,
yeah, I got arrested December 9th, 2009, but they didn't put that shit into the papers until like February. It was right around Valentine's Day, I think.
Because I remember it just being like winter time.
Yeah, February, and I, 2 months had gone by, and now you're putting it in the newspaper. My lawyer called and he was like, "Do you want a statement?" I'm like, "No." But I will. I'll insert like for YouTube, the image of like my mugshot and like what was on the front page of the newspaper, like my mugshot, not just mine. It was like 13 people, but there was like 40 people that got arrested with this case, but only like the bigger people were on the,
you were the only girl.
I think there was another girl. I'm not sure, but yeah, I was one of the only girls. Of course. I always ride with like more men. I definitely have like more of a masculine energy, and I'm definitely like, I'm girly. Like, I wear dresses every day. I wear makeup and stuff like that. But like, I'm a homie too.
Facts.
Yeah. So let me know, guys, how insane you think that story is, and if you have any stories like that you want us to share. Oh yeah, we do have a website, the Anna and Nicole Show, the Anna and Nicole Show.com. And if you want us to like share any of your stories, there's like a place to like right on the website. It says share a story. You could click it and share a story, and we would love to hear it. And if you want us to read it, you could use a fake name. I don't care what you do. We will read your story, and I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So Anna, do you have anything you would like to share today, or?
Oh my God. No, I don't think there's anything I could share after that. How do you follow that? There were roaches in the fucking car.
I know.
I
All right,
remember you telling me about that, and I'm like, Nicole, stop it. You're like, I swear to fucking God, there were roaches everywhere.
I was gonna tell 2 stories today, but I think that's enough for one day. I have thousands of crazy stories like this. I mean, they keep popping into my head lately because I know I want to share stuff. And I just want people to know, like, I'm not going to just share like the crazy things. I do also want to talk about the recovery part as well. And the reason why I think it's okay for me to share these stories, because I'm not trying to like glamorize anything. Clearly, I mean, there's roaches coming out of the car. I haven't showered for 5 days. I don't think any of that was glamorous. That's facts and real life on like how it is. And I know that out there somebody's dealing with the same thing. And I just want to, be there and say, listen, doesn't matter where you are in your life, how old you are, whatever, how bad it is, you can make changes. You have to nothing changes if nothing changes. You have to take action to make those changes. So, I'm never going to glamorize shit, even though like I might have excitement talking about it. That's for 2 reasons. 1, I want to try and keep you engaged. And 2, like, it's funny. That was my life. Like, this isn't a fake story I made up. This actually
was
lived.
oh God.
So that was fun. Yeah, Rob, I was like so grossed out though, the roach. That was like the only time. I mean, I gotta say, they like were pouring out of the vents, up out of the cracks. I didn't even ask Fred if he was okay. I pushed him and hopped up because this car seat didn't work. And I was like, what the fuck was that? And now I feel like there's roaches on me. I don't even know if anyone crawled on me, but hell no. Hell no.
No, that's just. Yo, I don't even remember seeing roaches at the zoo.
At the zoo? Why the hell would roaches be at the zoo?
No, not like, remember where
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant like the zoo. So just so people know, the zoo was like pretty much like a trap house that we would call it the zoo. It was a trap house.
It was the craziest. It wasn't even crazy. It was freaking
That's where I met Pork Chop.
Yeah. Pork Chop and B-Rock.
And B-Rock.
B-Rock.
So, yeah, I didn't want to make this episode all about me, but that was like a long story and we're not going to sit here for 5 hours. So thank you guys, whoever it is who's watching. And I appreciate people that commented in the last video. Also, somebody called you out for not making a goodbye video. Remember I said last week, can you make me? You're like, no, I'm like in my pajamas. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'm going to tell people to roast you. And I did. And somebody in the comments, I'll show you in a second.
Really?
Said, Anna, where is your goodbye video? And I responded to them. Thank you so much for roasting Anna. So
I'm doing my goodbye exit now. I hope everyone has a great night. And if you are struggling with addiction,
we're going to leave links below.
Yeah, there'll be links and information on where you can get help.
Yep. And you can always like seriously, you can email us. I'm sure there's an email connected to this, or you could go to the website. You can email us if you are having trouble and I could help you out. We'll figure something out to help you out. But besides that, I hope everybody drives safely with no roaches in their car this week. And if you do have roaches in your car, get an exterminator, bitch. That shit ain't cool.
Yeah. Stop hanging out in the hood, maybe.
No,
I don't know.
Don't put other people's roach-infested clothes in your car. Just don't.
Don't go to the hood.
Or double bag them or something.
Nah. Just don't go to the hood. Don't go to the
hood. They like to fuck all day. They multiply and shit.
Ooh,
right.
Stop it.
We're out. Bye.
Bye.
I deal with life different, make that limit squeeze. Went off for my style and identity.
Subscribe.
Better bounce back and get the cheddar cheese. I guess that's why